Make note of it in the minutes. Good morning, everyone. Good, okay. What more? Okay, good deal. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the City of Charlestown Sanitary Sewer Board meeting. It's October 20th at 10 a.m. Glad to see people in the audience today. We will begin as we usually do. Rising, please join me in saying our Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We still have issues with batteries in the car. Thank you. Everybody was to do a roll call. Brian Hodgkins
Present.
Here, Mayor Hodgins is here. Donna Kumar, clerk treasurer, is here. Our attorney Bo Ziller is here. Let the record show that Nathan Grimes is also here. Wondering that. There's an entrance. So we are all here. We've all been provided a copy with the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion made by Ryan Hodgkins.
Second.
Seconded by Nathan Grimes. Any edits to the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Still got 30 minutes, but.
Well, yeah, we ignore that one.
Oh.
That one's not correct. We have this one down
Something
here.
about clocks in this room.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
They don't work right.
Don't worry, put them in and start again.
Two of those.
It was the perfect timing. You get three and you'll ruin your perfect attendance award at the end of the year. All right, we've got our standing business, which is the approval or correction of our prior meeting minutes from our meeting on October 6th, our current claims and our payroll allowance docket from October 2nd to October 15th. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion made by Ryan Hoskins,
I'll second that.
seconded by Nathan Grimes. Any edits or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
None opposed? It's unanimous. Public comment? Do we have any? I see some different faces, but I don't think we have any public comment. No old business. Moving on to new business. First up on our list, as the board remembers, we had given a work order, agreed to have a work order with HWC for Spring Street evaluation, and I believe we have a presentation on that today for the results of that study. So I'll call forward our representative from HWC.
Hey, I'm Todd Solomon with HWC. I'll give everybody a copy of this report. This is an updated page 1-10. There were a couple like the velocity was off.
Okay.
I think one other number was off. It's not really consequential, but we do have a correct copy.
Great, thank you.
Donna, would you like this copy?
True.
Yes, please. Thanks, Bill.
I can get my copy after the presentation. Well, thank you for taking a few minutes to hear the results of the study. We met with the mayor earlier in the week and reviewed the results. This is a pretty brief study, but we took a look at the existing Spring Street lift station and some of the development occurring west of that lift station, Shadow Lake and Shadow Brook Farm, to determine if it made sense, if it was technically feasible to place a regional lift station somewhere west of the existing Spring Street lift station, run a gravity line down from the Spring Street lift station to that regional lift station location, then force mains from that location over to the wastewater plant to take Spring Street offline, place a larger regional lift station at that west area that would serve Shadow Lake, Shadow Brook, and other development in that area. So that was the goal of the evaluation. The bottom line is it's technically feasible. The Pleasant Run Creek provides a nice location to run a gravity sewer, so we have enough fall. We can do what we would like to do, run a gravity sewer from Spring Street Lift Station all the way along Pleasant Run Creek down to the west side of Shadow Lake and Shadow Brook and put a regional lift station there. So technically it's feasible. with the flows that we encountered, the projected flows for Shadow Lake and Shadow Brook, and the flows that were monitored coming into the Spring Street lift station, just assuming that we had to manage all those flows. We're looking at a rough cost estimate of $19.7 million for a lift station, gravity sewer, and force mains over to the wastewater plant. So that's a pretty pricey project. In looking at the flow monitoring data that was done by Hydromax, there were really some significant peaks for some modest rain events. The largest rain event they captured was less than a one-year rain event. It was like 1.38 inches in roughly 8.5 hours, which is less than a one-year return frequency event. So that's going to happen to you at least every year based on the charts. So there's a lot of that suggests there's a lot of inflow coming in. But the hydrograph peaks also show that water was coming in quickly. So that suggests it's probably not infiltration, it's probably inflow, like direct connections to your sanitary sewer from your storm system, from a creek. And in talking with the mayor and Tim Crawford, there's already, there's one known spot on Bohart Lane where you've got some culverts going under the sewers that are dilapidated, going under the streets that are dilapidated, and water's backing up behind those culverts. And it's been observed that one of the sanitary sewer manholes pops off when that water pools. And that manhole lid pops off, that water just goes right into the sewers. So at least there's one location where people have observed direct inflow into the system. You may have others. You've got a lot of lines that run along creeks down to Spring Street. So you've got a lot of potential sources for inflow and infiltration. The inflows is probably your main culprit there. So that $19.7 million estimate includes pumping all that clean water, which you really don't want to do. You don't want to convey it by gravity. You don't want to pump it. You're wasting capital cost in putting larger diameter sewers in, larger pumps in, and you're going to spend our operating cost dollars in running those pumps to pump clean water when it rains. It makes sense to investigate this further from our perspective. Right now, you don't really have a good handle on the flows that you could see. This is just a one-year event that was flow monitoring. What if you have a 5-year event? You don't really know what you're going to get into this lift station, and it would be difficult to project. So you really need to do a little bit more investigation and determine the storm event that the city wants to design for. One other thing to mention, that $19.7 million figure assumed that we were not going to use the overflow detention basin that's currently at the Spring Street lift station. If you continue to use that, you're going to be able to shave some peaks off and downsize some of the infrastructure. We had assumed with that $19.7 million estimate that you'd have, based on our calculations, 36 and 42-inch gravity sewers from Spring Street down to the regional lift station. You'd have a set of wet weather pumps that would pump 4,300 gallons per minute, and a set of dry weather pumps to pump 2,300 gallons a minute. And then you'd have 16-inch dry weather force main and an 18-inch wet weather force main over the wastewater plant. So that was the rough assumptions on this study. If you continue to use the overflow detention basin, that's going to shave some peaks. That's going to downsize that infrastructure a bit. If you're able to remove some inflow, that's also going to downsize some infrastructure a bit. One thing to caution you on the inflow, however, is typically, that numbers range, but typically around 50% of your inflow is going to be coming from private property, from laterals, downspouts, yard drains, sump pumps. And that's really difficult to take out. There's been a very few cities that I'm aware of that have tried to tackle that. It's a political nightmare. It can be done, but it's pretty rare. So realistically, without getting into some really difficult politics and a lot of time-consuming work, your target's probably going to be around 50%, remove roughly 50% of that inflow. But that still is a significant amount of water, and it helps you to right-size that infrastructure, so you're not putting in such big pipes, such big pumps. one thing we noticed in the flow monitoring report is they identified some 36-inch pipes down at the Spring Street lift station and also in the dog park. And we noticed that some of the as-built information we have on the Spring Street lift station overflow basin shows the biggest pipe being 24 inches. So we talked to Tim Crawford about that and the mayor, and Tim's and his crew will investigate that to make sure that we understand those pipe sizes. My guess is the flow monitoring report is probably correct because those guys were down in the sewer, and they had to select the right band size to put that flow monitor in. So I think that's probably correct, but we need to verify that so we have good as-built, but also if by chance, for example, the flow monitoring report showed 36-inch pipes, the as-built for the Spring Street lift station showed 24. If that is a 24 instead of a 36, well, then those are going to be lower flows. They can recalculate that. I doubt if that's the case, probably the as-built are off, but Tim's going to track that down and check that out. So our suggestion is to continue to evaluate. It's not what folks typically like to hear, I certainly understand that. But you just from our perspective, you just don't have enough information to jump into a design, and you'd be spending money that you probably don't need to on bigger infrastructure. So our suggestion is first to confirm the sizes of the sewers, which Tim and his crew can do. That's a pretty straightforward process, shouldn't take too long. Next would be to go in and do some smoke testing. Smoke test your sewers to see where you have direct connections. And then once you do the smoke testing, do some video work. You know, wherever you see a lot of problems with your smoke testing, go in and do some video work to see, okay, what kind of problem do we have? How big is it? How do we fix it? Then go in and remove those big sources of inflow. Once you remove those sources of inflow, you need to conduct follow-up monitoring to see what your flows really are going to be once you've removed that inflow. Once you do that, you can begin to right-size your infrastructure. Pick a design storm. Okay, here's what we want to go. We want to design our system for a 1-year storm event, or a 5-year storm event, or a 2-year storm event. You might need to get some input from IDEM on that. Right-size your infrastructure based on that storm event. Right-size and new flow monitoring data. Right-size that infrastructure so you've got the right-sized gravity sewer pipe, pumps, and force mains. Also, you want to revise your cost estimate. You're going to check out your cost estimate. Hopefully that $19.7 million estimate comes down significantly. But that's the process that we think would be most prudent for you to get the right-sized infrastructure and get an economical project for a regional lift station. Technically feasible, but quite expensive now. But we think that can be reduced if we take out the inflow and revise those numbers.
Thank you. You mentioned that the estimate does not include the retention basin. Do you have you guys run any kind of cost estimate yet to see what the impact on the cost would be if the basin were to stay?
We shaved off those flows.
Yeah.
No, we haven't done that. We can check that out though. We can take a look at it and see how much that would downsize it.
I mean, I think if you could do that, and I'd be interested to know right away what I mean, the basin's there, we have it, we're under agreed order to repair it, so it makes sense to use it. What's the capacity on that, Tim? 1.8?
1.8.
So, I mean, that would be a significant, I think, impact for one. We did receive a couple of recommendations for folks who do smoke testing if we choose to go that route. We can investigate that and get quotes on what that would cost with Tim. I've talked to Tim about checking out those pipe sizes and verifying. I think at this point, I don't know about the rest of the board, but I would rather not take any action today. I would rather take time to look at this, go over it with our in-house engineers as well, and with Tim, a little more detail with Tim, and say, okay, logically, where are we gonna start? Let's figure out first the pipe size and go from there on estimates on smoke testing and see, but obviously open to other recommendations from the board.
I agree.
Feels differently.
This is good stuff.
Yeah.
not the information that we were really wanting to hear, but I mean, that's sometimes your job to give less than happy news, but it's not horrible news. At least we have an idea of what, or at least we know what flow is going to do, and we do know that it is possible to build. It's just a matter of shaving off costs and getting it somewhere where we can actually manage it. So.
We'll take a look at the detention basin and get you an estimate.
Yeah, if you could send that back over, that'd be great, and I can have Jenny distribute that to the board just for their knowledge, and that would be fantastic.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
I can turn the whack this microphone across the room, sorry guys. All right, Tim, I think you're up for the GIS system presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Morning.
I took the liberty before the meeting to pass out to each one of you a copy of the service contract that we'll be talking about today. This particular company, Ziptility, is a company that comes in and helps develop a GIS system which entails asset management, work orders, everything that we've talked about in previous meetings. I think it's a good opportunity. We're here today to kind of give you a brief overview, allow you to ask some questions that we can answer. The first thing I would like to do is introduce, I brought a staff member with us, Seth Urton. Seth is actually the individual that brought this idea to me. Seth's used this program in previous employments, so I said it would be great if you come. We have about a 3-minute video we'd like for you to watch real quick, and then we'll expand on it and see if anybody has any questions. Okay. Please, Charles.
Hi, today I'm going to show you how uncomplicated and easy it is to add wastewater assets to your GIS using Ziptility. Now keep in mind that you can add assets both on the desktop or out in the field with your mobile device, whether that's a smartphone or a tablet. You can also Bluetooth a GPS device to your mobile device so that you can get super accurate locations on these assets. For today, though, I'm going to show you how we do it on the desktop computer. As you can see here, I've got really good map visuals, and I can actually see the sewer manholes on East 7th Street here. As I go up to the plus button, I'm going to add an asset. All of this is customizable. You can tell us what it is that you guys want to map for your wastewater utility. I'm going to add a manhole right here in this intersection, and it's going to pull up what we call our asset profile. This is where you can add in all of the information that you know or find out about this asset. So we can include a location description, photographs, your rim elevation, what type of lid it is, the size, material, anything that you can think of. This again is all customizable as well. So you tell us what fields matter the most to you, and that's how we'll set up your template. But all of our assets come with out-of-the-box templates that the majority of our customers use when they're putting information into these asset profiles. You'll also see that we have tasks that you can log on the manholes, routines, notes, the history of everything that's happened to this asset all lives within this asset profile. And then we would just continue this same process throughout the entire system until you have developed your entire GIS of everything. So once I have manholes on, watch how easy it is to add my gravity main. I just simply tap and connect the spots. If you can also bend the lines, so you can see each time I'm adding a new vertex here. And let's just connect that back to this next manhole. And again, going to pull up that asset profile for us to put in more information about this gravity main. And there it is on the screen. We are cloud-based, so anything that you do in the field on your mobile device or here on the desktop computer is instantly available to everybody else on the team that has access to it, including changes, new photos that are added, any kind of work that's done to it is all included as well. If you have any other questions about using GIS, this is kind of a pretty basic overview. Feel free to reach out to us anytime. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Charles. Like Josh was saying, that was very basic. A lot of the other things that are very enticing to us as a wastewater utility is the ability to run the history reports, generate work orders is going to be huge for us. And again, that's kind of why I asked Seth to come today to kind of explain. He's been in the report generation portion of it, and I'd like for him to speak on that a little bit and then answer any questions you may have.
So as far as setting up tasks for people to do, basically, like you said, there's a task button. You just click on your asset, click the task button, click whichever member you would like to send it to. It will actually send it directly to their phone. So if we have somebody out in the field, you don't have to bring them back into the shop to get that information, to get any kind of reports to do that with.
Would that be something that you would use like for locates if they call in or something?
Yeah, for
Something out,
locates, you can use it for locates, for repairs, you know, say somebody calls in and says, hey, there's a manhole lid that's off for some reason, you can send that right to anybody out in the field. They can head right there and take care of that.
We're gonna have field trips to go out and mark these ourselves, right?
Absolutely,
Go out and mark
absolutely.
these.
And that's a really good point that the presentation touched on very briefly. These changes with administrative privileges, which we will define who has those administrative privileges, will be able to be made in the field if necessary, via iPad, via iPhone. So, I mean, as Josh said in his presentation today, he was on a desktop, and all that same stuff can be done on a mobile device. So, again, we're very excited. We've had some conversation with Lori and her staff about this. I think that I'm confident in saying that I think everybody is very interested. There may be some more due diligence that we might want to check into, but the contract or the service that you have in front of you, everything that we're talking about here today is at a cost of $5,500 a year. Now, that includes generation of the original map, the input of our current data that we have. If some of you utilize the Google Maps, that data will be transferred. They actually use Mapbox. It beats virtually identical to what you're used to seeing, but it would give us the ability to see maybe a little clearer. And when we get ready to go out to Danbury Oaks, Woodford Farms, areas that are not currently on our mapping system, we can, with a little bit of assistance, we can go out there and we can generate that mapping ourselves.
And as new lines and new development
Yes,
come in,
ma'am.
then you will be able to continue to update that.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
One from a technical review, and one from a legal review. Bo, have you had a chance to look over this agreement?
So this is the first time I'm looking at it this
Okay.
morning. I've skimmed through it, just a couple. There's automatic renewal unless you give 30 days notice at the end of the year, so that's something to consider. And then just a couple questions on the fees, $5,500 a year, but there's a mention of additional fees possibly if you move outside the scope of services. I'm just kind of curious what that might be from their standpoint, or? do you-
I spoke with Jay Smallwood, which is our account rep, would be our account rep, and we talked about additional services. This program would be flexible enough to, in the future, build on, like, we're getting ready to enter in MS4 requirements, which would need a mapping system for the stormwater. We'd be able to do that. I think that the way that Jay explained it to me, if it's minimal changes that need to be associated with that, it would fall within this contract. But if it's another complete program,
Yeah.
storm sewer standalone, then that's where the extra fees might come in at that point,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. And then I guess the other question too is, let's say 3 years down the road, the
Yes,
city chooses not to renew it.
Yes, sir.
Do they still get the map? And maybe not the additional functions where you do the tasks and work orders, but
Yeah.
do they still get the map data? Or do you still have access to
If,
that?
I would say we would not have access to their software. It is in the attachments, Bo, that I put on the terms and conditions. I did read through this, and I think it would be good if you do, but as I read it from a layman's standpoint, any data that we generated in this program, even if we choose not to renew with Ziptility, continues to be owned by the city.
Okay,
Lori, JTL, from a technical aspect, have you had a chance to review this? Are there questions remaining that you would want some time to answer?
I brought Thomas for part of that in
Hey,
case, in case we need to dig into the nitty-gritty details.
Okay,
So our perspective is, it sounds amazing.
sure.
And so when Tim presented it to us, he also sent us the presentation, we watched it, Thomas looked into it a little bit. It all sounds great. And so what we talked about with Tim was setting up a demonstration for us to talk to them as well.
Okay,
For Thomas to talk to them as well. I can sit there and, oh yeah, this is great.
sure.
But he knows, the ins and outs and all the real technical details of it. And so I think Tim is gonna try to set that up for us next week so that we can make sure, there's always the side that if it sounds like it's too good to be true,
Sometimes it can be.
sometimes it can be.
Okay.
And so we just wanna make sure that, again, it sounds great. There's definitely a lot of very positive things that we saw right away. We're like, yeah, this is amazing. And the fact that Seth has used it before, I think that's a great testimony. I think Thomas knows someone else that has used it and is gonna try to touch base with them too. And, is there anything else that you wanted to add
Just
on it?
want a chance to talk to the provider directly to ask some more detailed questions and get some feedback from them
Sure.
on the inner workings of this to see, if there are any gaps that we need to be aware of with what it can or can't do. So,
So it sounds like we need a little bit more technical review and conversation before we take any actual action on it. And then I would also feel better if if you want to advise him of the types of questions you want confirmation on from a legal perspective, and then let's get that through email with the
Sure.
company so that we have an actual email chain where they have answered those questions for us. I would feel better about having that also,
Absolutely.
an email chain
Absolutely.
to get that in writing. And so I would make the recommendation that we get a motion to table this for now with pending his further reviews.
So moved.
So I have a motion to table from Ryan Husky,
I'll second
second
that.
by Nathan Grimes. Do y'all have any questions for them right now?
I think it's great.
Can it not be used for the stormwater too?
Yes, I
sir,
think
it
it can be.
It can actually be used for things, Nathan, stormwater, the wastewater is our priority right now, obviously, from our standpoint anyway. It can go all the way to parks and recreation, from what I understand.
Well, that's
So
what-
I think involving Tony in the conversation, because he's been doing a little bit of our MS4 work as utilities coordinator.
Exactly, Tony and I have talked, and he's very interested, like Lori stated, and I totally agree. It looks amazing,
Right.
so, but I do appreciate the fact to have the resources of Lori and her staff to get more into it, a little more technical. I look forward to that.
Well, my thought was that could be a split between various departments,
Sure.
that annual fee as well.
We can look into it.
If it's, that's how it's gonna be used.
All right, so we got a motion to table, just need a vote. So all in favor of tabling this for next time, pending some additional information, say aye.
Fine.
Alright,
Aye. And we are unanimous in that.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
Thanks.
Steph, for bringing that to us. And don't go too far, Tim, because you're up next for your operator report.
Yes, ma'am, and real quickly, the month of September was another great month for us. The plant was in compliance in all aspects. Some of the highlights that I would like to draw to the board's attention during the month, it was a big month for locates. We had 232 locates, and that's time consuming, but not hard work. But the other things that I would like to point out is we were able to, the staff being that is, were able to get in 2,900 linear feet of cleaning and flushing in the system, primarily from the Basham Street to Market Street, which is one of our known trouble areas and overflow points. So I think that's going to help out tremendously. Those are that is the goals that we're going to try to set on a monthly basis. This month we're a little down on it. We've been down on staff a little bit, but that's just one of the goals that we'd like to set for ourselves. We were able to televise, which has been something that's very difficult to do here historically, about 475 linear feet last month. I'm going to try to pick that pace up as we go as well. Last but not least, the staff and I have been concentrating on electrical conservation within the utility itself. We've been doing a lot of evaluations, testing. I can tell you, as of today, we've been able to shed 140 horsepower on a daily basis out of the process because it was just overusage and a waste of energy, to be honest with you. So I look forward to seeing the gains and the decrease in cost associated with that. It should be fairly substantial.
Okay, good.
So,
Energy savings are always good.
yes, ma'am.
It's wonderful.
Other than that, that's about the crux of the report. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
I have not any questions for the board.
No, it's great, thank you.
All right,
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Tim, doing a good job. And then Lori, are you doing our engineering report update?
I am.
All right.
Brought my cheat sheet notes so I can make sure to cover everything we need to cover. I'm gonna come back to the treatment plan at the end, save the best for last, so to speak. The anti-DAG study was released for public comment until October 28th. I think we talked about that last time. We did have a meeting with the Charlestown State Park. I guess he's the supervisor there and his supervisor as well. They were very excited, very much on board. We did send them the study so that they're able to review that as well because they hadn't seen it on public comment yet, but they were, pleased. So that was a good green light there. One of the things, we were just making sure being good partners, and they were pleased. The Highway 62 pump station design is still moving forward as planned. We anticipate having those completed into you all November 14th, so that's still on target, moving along well. The pump station on Jesse Ballew's property, we were able to locate that force main with the help of Indiana American, so that was, a big help for you guys. And we are working on the easement plats. I talked to Bo about that this morning, so when we get those squared away, their legal team will take it and do all the appropriate recording and make sure that that's all squared away. And then that pump station and force main will officially become the city's, through legal means. The agreed order updates. The compliance plan was resubmitted. They had sent back comments. We resubmitted that early, so that was great. We have also submitted the preventive maintenance plan. They've confirmed receipt of both of those. I believe Kayla got a call from one of them yesterday, just touching base, because we were waiting to hear that they had actually, please tell us you've received, the email. And they called yesterday and were like, hey, sorry, yes, we've received it, everything looks good. They were sending the PMP on through to review, a more technical review, but they, didn't see any initial issues with that, so that's good. We also resubmitted the PER to IFA, so that's always, another check mark for the funding, which kind of goes into the treatment plan. So everything's going great there. We have a big design workshop review meeting next week scheduled for all of our, internal team plus all of our subs, and that's 2 days next week that we're gonna, all be in one room and, hammer down to be able to bring that 90% deliverable to you guys on November 3rd. That being said, we need to talk about scheduling the executive session for review, given how it ties in with pending litigation, agreed order items, things like that. I talked to Bo a little bit about that. The options would be kind of at your discretion there. Before we delivered plans to you all and gave you 2 weeks to look at them, if that's something you still want to do, we can again. Or we can, when we bring them in, we can just kind of go through them together and just kind of cut out those 2 weeks, so to speak. So that is kind of up to you all.
Considering the time frame and how we really hope to have this 100% designed by the end of the year and bid it out in January, I would recommend that we just go over it and then we can get the drawings for further review following the presentation if anybody has any issues. And let's cut out those 2 week review period leading up to it, just 'cause we've had no issues with the 60%. I'm sure optimistic about the 90%, but we still would have time following your presentation to make
Sure.
any comments. So.
Yeah, so if we can just, I guess we will plan on that then, Bo, for the following the November 3rd meeting. And I think that's the last thing that I really had to update you guys on, unless you have any questions specific for me.
So you're thinking of scheduling that executive session immediately following the meeting on the 3rd? Is that what I'm hearing? Are there any objections to that from the board members? Does that work?
You can pick a date or.
Works for me.
Donna, does that work for you? So we can just do that for our following and do it the same way we did it last time? We'll get those notices up. All right, any questions for Lori?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you. Although I will point out that you didn't tell us that it was gonna be cheaper.
I was looking for.
That's because that
We
part
were
hasn't,
waiting for that.
that part hasn't been updated, so we did talk about another option that may impact that, so. But I don't have exact numbers, so I can't tell you.
Those are our favorite meetings, I'm just saying.
I know.
Okay. Are there any other matters that need to be brought before the board? Hearing none, make sure you sign everything Donna needs you to sign, and with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
I have a motion from Nathan. Yes, Nathan Grimes, second from Ryan Hoskins. See, Ryan, you made a motion first on all these times, now you got my brain all worked up. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll see you in about another 2 weeks.